Hey everyone, Dr. Alex Ritza here, and I'm about to go out for a run, and I'm going to show you guys my pre-run routine that can be done in as little as 3 minutes, or you can take a little bit more time and get a little bit more out of it. And we're going to go over what you should be doing before your runs, because in terms of preventing running injuries, it's all about two things. It's all about minimizing the amount of load on the body and maximizing our body's capacity to accept that load. When we talk about load into the body, it's Newton's third law. It's every force has an equal and opposite force. When you take a step onto the pavement, the ground is punching back at you every single time. And so there's a couple things that you can do to change the amount of load that goes into the body. We're not going to really talk about these today, but one is the shoes you wear. Another is the type of surface that you run on. Obviously, running on soft grass is probably better than hard pavement. And then the third thing is the type of running gait that you use. Do you land on your heels, your midfoot, your forefoot? How do you actually run? We'll talk about that in another video. But today, in terms of increasing your body's capacity to accept that force, capacity is going to be dictated by the extensibility or the movement of the tissue, stretching, and also the strength of the tissues. And so the strength of the tissues, we're mainly talking about the spine, the core, and the glutes. But today, we'll talk about the tissue extensibility, we'll talk about the flexibility, and let's go over the drills that I use before my run. Okay guys, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on stretching our hamstrings, and we're going to do a dynamic stretch. Heel is on the ground, leg is straight, and we're going to work towards doing a ground sweep. But what I want to highlight in today's video is that if you feel uncoordinated doing that, or you have trouble doing that, what we want to simply do, heel up, leg straight, and keeping our core nice and tight, bending at the hip joint. We just want to work our sitting our butt down and back like we're going to sit down into a chair. And so you can simply do this dynamic stretch over and over again. And that's going to be a great warm-up. 5 to 20 times per side. The key here is that we're bending through the hip, keeping the leg straight, feeling a good stretch here through the hamstrings. Now the ground sweep is just to deepen that stretch and also get a little bit more through the spine. What we want to do next is we want to now stretch the quads and the hip flexors to a degree. And for this, we want to keep that stretching dynamic again. And we're going to do some butt kicks. With this, step up and kick back towards the buttock, trying to kick your own butt if you can. With this drill, if you want to get more of the front of the hip flexors, you're going to kick back a little bit farther, trying to hit your low back. Now with this drill, if you have low back issues, you might find that it'd be painful. Just work on kicking your butt off then. Next, we're going to go into a drill to warm up your spine and your pelvis. For this, what we're going to do is the standing brother exercise. Reaching back, sticking the chest out, arching open, and then curling everything in. The next drill we're going to do is to warm up the gluteus medius and minimus on the side of the hips, the abductors, and this we're going to work on shifting our pelvis back and forth like your Elvis Presley, keeping the leg relatively straight, the spine relatively straight. Imagine that you are stuck between two buildings. There's nowhere to go but to the side, and that you're trying to tap something out here. So I'm stuck between two buildings, and I try to tap my leg out to the side, pushing that hip directly out to the side. And then more fluid motion. So if you're in a rush, you're probably good at this point. Something is better than nothing. 5 to 20 repetitions of what we've done so far is going to be a good start. But I would recommend going on and doing these next 2 drills that we have for you, just to be a little bit more extensible, a little bit more warmed up, and obviously shooting for 10 to 20 reps, okay? So the last part of my warm-up, we're going to do some leg swings. I think this is important to include because it's also going to work on stretching the spine and the calves. For the leg swings, what we're going to do, we're going to put our hand up against the wall or against the dowel, and we're going to work on slowly swinging the leg back and forth, getting a little bit higher with each swing. With this one, you want to work on really letting that leg fall with momentum towards the ceiling. And if you want, you can also work on swinging the leg backwards, trying to kick the buttock. I wouldn't combine both motions at once. Either focus on the hamstrings up or the hip flexors and the quads going back. And last but not least, we're going to use some leg swings for the AB and adductors. Hand up on a wall, and we're going to be working on swinging the leg in and out. And what you can do is, when you swing the leg in, if you work on kicking the foot up to the ceiling, you'll get a different aspect of the glutes. Or you can just let the leg come through like you're kicking a soccer ball, having the inside of the foot pushing towards the ceiling. Of course, you would do the other side, but you've seen all the drills now that I do before a run, before I go for a ride. Add them to your routine before you go for a run, and I imagine it's going to help you feel more flexible, stronger, faster, and hopefully help prevent any injuries out on the road.